Good afternoon. I'm Mark Donahue coming to you from King West Media Group at Amplify downtown in Billings, Montana. We're coming up on June 6th, and we are going to be doing our number 9 concert for a concert series that we've been putting on over the last 8 weeks. And this week, we have a special treat for you in John Roberts, and I'm going to let John tell you about the band. So John, welcome to our studio. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here.
We are really looking forward to having you in on Saturday.
Yeah, I can't wait to perform.
I know the musicianship, the caliber is going to be fantastic.
Certainly hope so.
And I'm really looking forward to it.
Right on.
But you're of Pan Blanco fame, I understand.
That's the first group I started when I came to Billings.
Right.
And it's a blend of Afro-Cuban, soul, funk, and African music.
Yeah.
So, but this particular group is the one I wanted to start when I first came to Billings, because I've always loved soul and blues music. So.
And what's the name of this band that you're
This band is called This Soul Thang.
This Soul Thang.
Well, you know, I was playing with Bill Honecker at Walker's, and I'm like, he's like, what's the name of your group? What's the name of the group tonight? And I'm like, I'm not sure. What should we call it? And so he called it Soul Thang for a while. And so I added the this. And Bill Honecker is responsible for Soul Thang. So
and do you spell it Thang?
I think we do. I don't know if I've ever seen an official spelling.
That's the way I spelled it.
Yeah, that seems right.
At least you pronounce it that way.
That's the way you're supposed to pronounce it.
That's Soul Thang.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. And this is going to be a 4-piece. So how's the instrumentation work for that?
It is going to be guitar, bass, drums, and I'll be singing and playing some trombone and some keys.
Oh, okay. Trombone and keys.
Yep.
And you play trombone in Pan Blanco too, right?
I do, and some keys.
And some keys.
Yeah.
What was it that got you into playing in the first place?
Well, my family. My parents both played. My mom taught piano lessons. She taught us when we were kids. We lived on a ranch in eastern Montana. And
what town?
Outside of Miles City.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And we all of us kids learned to play piano there. And then when we moved to Malta, Montana, we kept playing piano, and then jumped into the concert band at the grade school and high school.
Wow.
And so all of us play piano and a wind instrument. And
small town, eastern Montana.
Yep.
Makes it big.
Well, I don't know. Someday, yeah.
Well, what is the? I mean, in terms of your journey, what's say the largest event you've ever played?
Ooh, the largest event I've ever played. There's been a few. I'd say probably the Today Show in New York City.
Oh,
we did that a long time ago.
Fairly large event. So the Today Show in New York City.
I've been pretty lucky to play a lot of different venues around the world, a lot of different places. You know, big shows, little shows. You know, stadiums, clubs.
And is that primarily as a trombonist?
As trombonist, occasional keyboards and a little bit of background, but mostly from the trombone chair.
And what genre does that gravitate to when you're traveling around in those kind of high-profile venues?
Well, the groups I played with were primarily soul bands and Afro-Latin bands, Afro-Cuban bands. They all want a horn section, and they all love it if you can sing some backup,
right?
Which is nice. And then occasionally, if somebody misses the gig because something happened in their life, they might need you to play keyboards.
Right.
You know.
Right. So how did you make all those contacts?
Well, when I moved I went to school at MSU Billings many years ago, and then from there I moved to Los Angeles to work on my master's degree. And my second year there, I got called for an audition for some soul bands, and I took the audition, and that band started going on there. Or that band was already on the road, so I immediately started going on the road my second year there.
And who was that?
That was a singer by the name of Bobby Womack.
Oh, cool.
So
and so they got a hold of you through an agency or something, or?
No, just word of mouth.
Wow.
You know, just practicing and being ready for the right thing at the right time.
Right.
So
right.
I showed up to it was his penthouse apartment in Studio City, and he just started yelling at us things that we should play and learn it all by ear. And then he started playing guitar, and
wow.
And however I did it, I passed muster. And then I spent probably 12, 13 years on the road with him, off and on.
So that's quite a career then with one act.
Well, I was playing with a lot of different groups at the time. I was playing with some Afro-Latin bands. There's one in particular that I toured with a lot. His name was Ricardo Lemvo and Makina Loca. It's Congolese-Cuban music.
Cool, yeah.
He was up in Montana last year. I brought him up for a concert.
Oh, yeah.
So and he blends Congolese and Cuban music, and spent a lot of time traveling around the world with him. There was a band called Los Pingos. They're Argentine-based, and with them also, and each one of those leads to something else, leads to something else, leads to something else. So, you know.
So it's kind of like a freelancing career, and you're just relying on your chops to get you further down the road.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of how it works out. Yeah, you never know who's watching on whatever gig it is, and who might want to hire you. So that
Either in person or on television.
Yeah, however it works. You know, it did lead to a lot of studio work and some DVDs with different, you know, famous artists and things like that. So there's all sorts of things that pop up if you spend enough time there and keep your chops up, you know.
So you've been international traveling then?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was pretty consistent until I moved to Montana, you know, and I'm still playing around a lot, but, you know, I have a different kind of job now, and I'm working on my own music. But it was, probably, I'm guessing 12 to 14 years of international touring, which is pretty sweet.
So what was the furthest country you went to, or the most interesting, the most noteworthy?
They're all interesting in their own way. I mean, I played on every continent except for Antarctica, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot.
Penguins.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to pay attention there. Some scientists and penguins, but they need the music too, right?
Yeah, they do. They got to learn to waddle to something.
Yeah. So, you know, Africa was a great experience. I wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was very interesting to see how people live and how people work there, and we spent a lot of time different parts of Europe and India and a lot in the Caribbean, Mexico, you know.
Right.
So
how does all that travel make you feel about the United States and about Montana in terms of, you know, I know a lot of people, and you probably do too, who've never even been out of Montana, and if they have, they've been as far as South Dakota, but that's about it. So, I mean, having all of that travel, you're back here, so that says something good about Montana.
And I am glad to be back, you know. I'm teaching up at the college and having a blast. Great faculty to work with there, and the students are awesome. And Montana's been very good to me since I came back with the music I'm putting out. And it's been fun to be here and kind of spread this music around that I love to do. And the audiences in Montana are wonderful. You know, people show up to shows, and they come and listen to jazz, and they clap. And they pay attention, you know, so that doesn't always happen everywhere, you know. But I think the traveling and learning about other cultures and about diversity has helped me a lot. It really teaches you empathy and sympathy, and it really makes you think outside the box and see how people live in other parts of the world and other demographics. And I think it's important to share that with people who haven't left. You know, it's a great big wide world out there, and it's hard to explain unless somebody's been there. You know, so you can talk to people about it all day, but unless they've gone and experienced something like that, it's hard to explain to them. But I really enjoy that. And I like sharing those experiences with my students and with the people of Montana. That's one of the main reasons I started Pan Blanco, is to share that music. You know,
So does that, as far as third world goes, have you ever been to any of the relatively deep poverty countries, or is there not opportunity there, like Vietnam or the Philippines or?
I haven't been to those particular countries. I've been to Cuba multiple times and Mexico, and there's abject poverty everywhere, you know. And India was.
Get to the India especially.
Africa, of course. I mean, the stories are, you know, we were staying in a nice hotel, 4 or 5 stars in Angola, in Luanda, Angola, and across the street there are people cooking their dinner, whatever it is, on burning tires, and they live in like a boxcar that's been cut in half.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of those, and those kind of things they'll never leave me. They always stick with me. So in some ways, you know, it gives me kind of a short fuse when I'm dealing with people that I feel don't have enough, you know, empathy for something. But how can they know if they haven't been there? So
that's
look at it from both
the hard
ways.
thing.
Yeah, but once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's one of the great things about traveling. You know, I've never been much of a resort guy. Like, go to the resort and hang out and have your special pool and your drinks. That doesn't do anything for me. I like to go see how the people live and meet some of the people. And when I go to Cuba, you live with people there. That's the cheapest way to stay. You can rent a room for $25 a night, and they feed you breakfast, and you know, and they're very kind, and you get a whole different experience.
Yeah, you're not the nasty American down there.
Yeah, they were. It's always been a wonderful experience in all those places. You know.
Have you ever gone anywhere where the people are overall really short?
Like short-tempered?
No, like short physical stature.
I do. When I was I had some shows in southern Mexico, Chiapas.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a town called San Cristobal, and I felt like a giant there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
I was in Japan one time, and we all
Okay.
felt like giants.
Yeah.
Just
So
looking
I'm
over the
pretty
top of everybody's head.
average size here, but you know,
Yeah.
I was pretty tall there. It was like, oh, this is how it feels to be
Yeah,
tall.
yeah. Have you ever seen a lady on the beach washing her clothes on the rocks? I mean, really basic living, no electricity, no anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Many times,
Many
especially in
times.
India,
Yeah.
parts of Mexico, for sure. Yeah, on the rivers. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
the cows running around India and
Oh, yeah.
going wherever they want to go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really, it is something to be able to try to explain to people why you develop your attitudes towards people. I think
Yeah.
one thing that international travel like that does, even if you thought you might have had a prejudice,
Yeah.
you know when you've been to a place like that that you don't.
Right.
It's very clear
Yeah.
that it has nothing to do. Humanity and the ability to relate to people, and kindness and graciousness and, like you said, empathy are things that really come out in those cultures. I think particularly if you're in a situation where they're not competing with their attentions are not being competed with by cars and toys and
Right.
electronics and stuff like that. And like in the social gatherings, and the kids amaze me in some of those third world countries, how well they play together.
Yeah.
It's like they don't know that they don't have an Xbox and an
Right.
iPhone, and they don't care.
Right.
And they have these great relationships with each other. You can see it in the smiles on their faces and the lights in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful thing.
I mean, literally, when you go to some of these places, some of the people are concerned with is what they're going to eat next,
Right.
or how they're going to feed their kids.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But it doesn't consume them in terms of worry.
No.
They know they've done it day after
Yeah.
day for years, and it's going to happen again. Might be
Yeah.
a tough day, but all
Yeah.
of them are tough. So.
Yeah, it's a total different way of living. That
Right.
even though I visited those places, I couldn't understand that way of
Right.
living because I grew up a different way than that. So,
Yeah.
And they don't often understand our way of living.
Mm-hmm.
And you get into the arts and especially music and dance in different cultures in India, in Africa, and Latin American cultures. It's a lot of it is based on tradition, and it's not necessarily based on commercial,
Right.
like making money, right? They do it
Right.
because you do it. That's how you pass down the traditions, the songs, the dances of your culture to your progeny, right? So
Right.
they don't do it because they're getting paid. They do it because they have to do it.
Right.
It's not unlike even in the U.S. the Delta blues. It's a folk music. Folk
Yeah.
musics are for the people. It didn't start off as a commercial endeavor.
Right. Yeah.
So it's always been fun to watch and learn, and if you go in with an open mind and you want to try and understand, or all you have to do is really want to understand, and your mind will open. If you walk in with the prejudices immediately and a closed mind, you're going to probably walk out with nothing. But
Right.
if all you have to do is want to understand,
Yeah.
So.
And then you're speaking a language that's universal too. So you can develop as soon as you start blowing on that trombone. You're developing a relationship with people, irrespective of what language they speak.
Yeah, I think that's any music,
Yeah.
any instrument, any
Yeah.
music, any voice, because it's this, this energy transfer.
Right.
You can't really see the music, right? You can see the trombone, you can see the piano or the guitar, but you can't see the actual sounds coming out of it. So
Yeah,
that
right.
energy transfer to somebody else and watching them respond to it, in turn, is what makes us respond back as musicians. So
Yeah.
it's really, really important, I think, for humanity. So.
Well, it's important that people listen, and that's one of the distracting things about playing in the United States. It's always a better environment when you're playing in front of a captive audience. It makes you communicate better, and that makes you play better.
Yeah.
Makes you reach inside deeper
Yep, absolutely.
for something that means more.
Yeah.
If people are paying attention.
Yeah, it feed the audience, they feed right back to you.
Right.
Audience, I like to say the audience is
Yeah.
the most important part of the band.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, this Saturday is going to be an interesting experience because we have a lot of cameras and a few people, but
Yeah.
it's not like you're going to see them waving back at you from behind the lens.
Yeah, that's all right. I look forward to seeing what happens, and hopefully it affects some people positively.
Yeah, I think it will. Can we pivot to the other members of the band? Who have you
Absolutely.
got going in the?
On guitar is Rafael Lopez. He's a guitar player here in Billings. I'm sure a lot of people, if they've been watching music,
I've
they
met
know.
Rafael, yeah.
Yeah,
Played
he's
with him once.
great guitar player, very sensitive, very tasty.
Yeah.
And he plays also in my other group, Pan Blanco. And
Oh, yeah.
we've played in a number of ensembles together that are jazz oriented or blues oriented.
Yeah, he is a diverse guitar player.
Yeah, I think he even had a good chunk of time spent in the metal scene when he first got started.
That's why I heard him play the rock licks.
Oh yeah, he's got them all.
Yeah.
So he's a great student of music, and he's real fun to be around.
He really
and
is.
real fun to play
He's
with.
real serious about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on the bass is Will Honecker, who also grew up in Billings. He plays bass and does some audio production and recording out of Nashville now.
Oh, okay.
And but he grew up in Billings, and he just happens to be here because the Nashville scene kind of dried up a little bit with the whole COVID-19 thing. So
Right.
he decided to stay in Billings for a while, and I'm like, oh, great opportunity. Especially since his dad is playing the drum set.
Yeah.
His dad is Bill Honecker, who's
father-son.
yeah.
Then. Oh, yeah.
And Bill's been a mainstay of the music scene in Montana for many years, since he was in high school. He's told me all these stories about playing these gigs.
Yeah.
When he was in high school, and then he had a band in college at a Bozeman. And he owns Walker's Grill, and they've had probably one of the longest standing jazz nights of any venue in Montana.
Yeah,
It's like 30 some years every Sunday night.
Yeah.
So he's brought in high-end jazz musicians from all around the state and the Northwest, and people
And
coming
he's just
through.
never quit. I imagine there's times when he thought, man, how do I keep this thing going?
Yeah.
And he just
Yeah.
always decided, I'm going to keep it going.
Yeah, both his restaurant and his music.
Yeah.
He's been a great inspiration and really helped out a lot of musicians here, and
Yeah,
just
well,
and listeners by giving listeners a place to go every single Sunday night to go hear some high quality music.
Yeah, I've been in there several times.
Yeah.
It's nice that he can marry his passion to his legitimate business interest.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
totally.
tough to make a living as a musician and solely a musician in Billings, Montana.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so he's in a good place.
Yeah,
just
he's-
like you are, being able to teach and
Yeah, it's a blessing to be here for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a list of questions, but I think we've gotten through much better than a list of
Oh,
questions.
no problem. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to you. I know Charlie is too. Charlie Garrett's doing the recording today, and he's going to be running the sound on Saturday night.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
We're looking forward to you guys coming down here and really giving us a good show. I know that you've been rehearsing, and you're
Yep.
yeah, and that we're going to start out with as an audience for you, and hopefully it will grow
Yep.
during the show and after. So
Yeah, I hope so.
really appreciate you coming down.
You bet. I look forward to it. Some new songs, some old songs, some originals, and
Yeah, we're
some
really
Taj
looking
Mahal,
forward
some
to
Sam
it.
Cooke, and
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing Grant Jones that night too.
Yes,
It's gonna
Grant
be-
Jones is going to be opening. He's going to start at 8, and he'll play for about 30 or 40 minutes, and then we'll have a changeover, and then you guys will start.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And you can go as long as you want.
Oh,
Open-ended.
all right. See you at
Whatever
2 in the
works.
morning.
We'll see if you're willing, we'll be willing. So,
If I can play my horn that long.
got keys.
That's right. That's right.
All right, John Roberts.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
me.
much.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it.
You bet.
Come down and see John Roberts and That Soul Thing. Well, you could come down, but you might want to call first. And if you can't, jump on your computer, go to Hot 101.9's Facebook page, and tune in starting at 8 o'clock sharp. And you'll see Grant and That Soul Thing with John Roberts. Thanks. This is Mark Donahue, King West Media Group, coming to you live from Amplify Downtown. Take care.